Moody Theater. It's the day before the Red Bull Battlegrounds, and this is the preview panel. How's everyone doing? Yeah. Yes. Wow. That's enough. This evening is the informal fan meet and greet and the oh-so very formal panel with three of the sexiest men alive. Mike Lamond, a.k.a. Husky Starcraft.
Hi,
Marcus
Sean.
Graham, a.k.a. DJ Wheat. And Rob Simpson, a.k.a. Mr. Pimpson. And we're going to be doing a little bit of preview of all the groups, getting a little bit of predictions, and of course getting some Q&A live with all the wonderful folks here and some of the players. Now, keep in mind, in a lot of shows, when we predict things, we just sort of do it and upload the video, and it just sort of goes out there. But all the players whose results we're predicting are there, so they'll hear it all. So hopefully, if they disagree, we'll get to hear about it a little bit. And I want to, of course, begin with Group A because it comes first, and that makes a lot of sense. It is Stefano, Violet, Illusion, and Ganji. Marcus, why don't you start us off a little bit and tell us some of your thoughts on Group A?
So one of my favorite things about Group A is that I'm a huge fan of TVZ, and there's no doubt that I'm going to get plenty of it watching the duration of Group A. But I also feel like it's one of the more difficult groups to actually pull the top two out of because, especially with my Zerg bias, I want to pull out Stefano, I want to pull out Violet. However, you know, Ganji, obviously a very, very great Terran player.
Oh, yeah.
Illusion, who did fantastic at the previous Red Bull LAN as well, and has had a great showing in some of the other events that he's competed in. This is a tough one to call. So, you know, I mean, I don't know if you want me to say who my top two are, but...
I mean, you can go ahead. I mean, they're there.
Yeah. My top two out of Group A are going to be
players.
Violet and Stefano.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly pretty hard to debate against Stefano and Violet, right?
I mean, yeah, right.
I mean,
when you look at like two of the players that just got top three at the most recent arena,
Yeah.
Right.
Come on. Yeah. Now I'm gonna have to go with I want Illusion to get out of this group. I'm not gonna pick my top two. I don't care where Illusion is as long as he makes it out.
Yeah, I mean, have you gotten the chance to cast a lot of either Illusion or Ganji recently, the two Terran players?
Illusion has been at a lot of tournaments. He's been. I still remember the time that he BM'd against. Who's my favorite player? Spanishiwa. Yeah, he BM'd against him by Mule dropping him, and they were on the same team, so that was great. And ever since then, I've loved the guy. And ever since we got here, Sean, every meal I've eaten, he's just there. So I don't know if he's like trying to make me cheer for him, but
Now, I hope
he's a great guy.
You haven't had any 3 a.m. midnight snacks, and he just shows up.
Yeah, and he's there like eating a Snickers bar, just staring into my eyes. But no, it's definitely a tough group. It's going to be tough for Illusion. I definitely would have to agree with DJ Wheat on his predictions.
Thank you, Husky.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, Ganji is a player who is probably the least celebrated in that group. I mean, Illusion did so well at IPL, taking out Zenio, Ryung, and Oz, three Code S players of different races. I mean, a lot of eyes are on him as the big rising star. He's the youngest player at the Red Bull Battlegrounds. But Ganji is just solid as can be. I mean, regular Code S won a GSL Code A against Marine King Prime 4-3.
He has been consistent in nearly every single tournament that he has been in, but we haven't quite yet seen that I am a champion run yet.
Yeah.
Right. We've constantly seen like the strokes of brilliance, but he hasn't quite like painted his whole picture just yet. But this could be the weekend.
Yeah, because I do know that Ganji was actually the player that eliminated Violet from the Winter Championships at MLG, going 2-1. And Violet, I mean, you got the chance to cast him at the MLG arena.
Oh yes. In addition to Sao Paulo a long time ago, I saw like one of his first breakouts, and that was super sick. I mean, he took down Supernova there, which was a pretty huge achievement at that time.
That's right. Yeah, and I mean, tell us a little bit about the way that Violet has been using those brand new range 5 queens to just step up the ZVT.
Well, I think as we've seen, just about every Zerg now likes to play with about 9 queens as early as possible in the game. You cover the map with as many creep tumors as possible. And then you build broodlords and you win.
I mean, as fun as that is to joke about,
it's changed the matchup so much.
It's very true.
I mean,
you know, I mean, also as far as Violet is concerned, he's said recently that like he's tired of doing the same builds over and over, and he's looking for new ways to do different things, and that he feels like you're too easy to peg as this type of a player if you just are opening this way all the time. I mean, obviously it's a great way to approach the game, but I think that's bringing him a lot of success.
And especially given the amount of counterattacking that Violet does, I mean, I'm super, super concerned for the level of play that his players are going to put up. I mean, Ganji has shown like complete resilience to counterattack. Stefano loves counterattacking himself. Also, that really great, solid defensive play in Fester base when he needs to. So I'm actually going to cop out when it comes to predictions and say it's going to be 1 Terran, 1 Zerg.
I hate you, Sean.
Wait, and if I had to choose,
yeah. The crowd wants to hear your prediction.
You framed us.
I'm gonna do. I was halfway done. Oh, that was so great. It's boo. I hate him. Burn him. It's like, here's the predictions. He's so great. I watch him every day. I'm gonna go with Stefano and Illusion. I will go with that. Yeah. Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah.
I hate him. Burn him. And Mike, did you give your predictions for the group?
I did. I agreed with DJ Weed over here.
Yeah.
He's just so
see
handsome.
this right here, Sean?
That's the line.
The line has been drawn.
It's okay.
And Robert
This is
Paul
how we
Simpson?
wanted it anyway.
And your predictions?
My prediction is then, I guess I'll just add on the second player. I predicted that only Illusion would make it out. That was the only one that I cared about. Let's also say Stefano.
Well, hopefully Ganji has a ton more fans at home going, wait a minute. Ganji, I mean, definitely an incredible player. Actually, every group is super stacked, not just with talented players, but with very, very popular players. As we move on to Pool B, a ton of fan favorites in Pool B. Liquid Teja, the brand new recruit for Team Liquid, second youngest player at the tournament. Liquid Sheth, Quantix Sase, and the brand new Evil Geniuses player Thorzane, also in Group B, replacing EG Puma. Now, I have to hear some of your thoughts on this. Again, Marcus, I want to throw to you at the start.
Okay. Thanks, by the way, throwing me under the bus. You were on Live on 3 the other evening talking about the Red Bull Battlegrounds, and one of the things that you really, one of the players, rather, you really talked up was Sase.
Yes, love Sase.
And I don't know if Sase's around, but there he is right there.
There's Sase. Hello, Sase.
Yeah. I love you. All right. Yes. Give that guy some love.
I don't worry too much about it. Like, I practiced a lot, so if all the settings are good for me, I think I can do it.
Well, bold words from Sase, and guess what? We're going to predict your group based upon that statement. So, ladies and gentlemen, Quantix Sase will be bringing him back on to take some questions in a little bit. But thank you, Mr. Sase. Woo! Woo! I think Sase is going to win his group.
Yeah, you said that the other evening, too.
Your top two are Sase and Sase?
Yeah, I would not be surprised. He might face himself in the finals and draw 7 times in a row.
That'd be rough.
We just watch him test builds, and we're losing control. It's so great. Now, I will say that I think in my eyes, Sase will be one of the players to make it out of the group. Almost certainly. But Teja is one of the players who has been performing just absurdly good. Out of the last, or at the ESV Korean Weekly Tournament, the second most decorated player is Gumiho with 1 win and 1 second place. And Teja has 6 wins and 1 second place.
He's a scary player because he's one of these guys that you know what his potential is, but even since his big boom, he hasn't quite had that impactful win that people have expected him to have. And so the problem is that you know that it's wrapped up in that. And at any time, he could just freaking explode and win a competition. So he's the biggest, wild card in all of this because you want to pick him, but at the same time, is this going to be the time?
Yeah. Now, Mike, I mean, we haven't talked that much about Sheth in Group B right now, but how are you feeling about Sheth's chance to be able to advance out of this group? He has two super tough Terrans.
It's going to be really, really tough for him. We mentioned it is a super strong group, and Thorzane, he's kind of my doppelganger, so I love him. And I'll be cheering him on. But
the resemblance is uncanny.
What? but yeah, Sheth, I mean, he's definitely going to have a hard time with it. But I'm always cheering for him because if it was a complimenting contest, he would take first place.
Yeah.
I don't know how he doesn't rate. For those of you who don't watch his stream, he's so nice. Even if people are sniping him, he'll be like, "You beat me while stream cheating, but here's some tips on not sucking." Like, I don't know how he does it. So anyone that's that nice, I'm always cheering for him. But I would say that one of my favorites is going to be Tasia to watch. And we've seen Sase do pretty well at tournaments in the past. We've had a lot of fun casting him, too. And I don't know. I would say, are we doing predictions on this group?
Of course. We're never not doing predictions on this panel.
Okay. I'm going to say Thorzane and Tasia, but just because Thorzane looks a lot like me, and I approve.
Well, that's not actually a bad metric, just due to the fact that Thorzane's also really, really, really good.
Good, yeah. I mean, that's part of it, I guess.
I mean, recently coming off the big win at DreamHack, but his two big achievements were in the semifinals and finals against Zerg and Terran, but, you know, Sase is in his group. I mean, you've gotten a chance to cast a lot of Thorzane's games. He has that really slow, meticulous, deliberate style.
They call him the Spoon Terran for a reason, man.
I thought it's just because he looked like the boy that said there is no spoon. I didn't know it was related to his play style.
It's like chipping away at somebody with a spoon.
Oh, is that how it wound up?
That's not where my
way?
brain went on that one. That's
right.
I can't imagine that being the origin of it. Someone watching him play thinking, that's just like a spoon.
Well, I mean, spoons are like pretty close to like the slowest way that you could eat something that requires a knife and a fork, and like you need lots of sharp things to win StarCraft. So he must.
Well done.
And the crowd goes nuts. You know, I do think that Thorzane is going to be a pretty interesting player to throw into this group because he said that he's always really comfortable when he's against someone who's better than he is, or who's perceived to be better than he is, and always very nervous against someone who's considered to be worse than he is because he doesn't want to look dumb losing in that sort of situation. But if he loses to the clearly better player, no big deal. So he has a lot more comfort, which I actually think is one of the reasons he was able to do so well in DreamHack against Polt. I mean, Polt's just like renowned, but I think that it's probably going to be Sase, who has a really strong PVT, and one of the two Terrans. If I had to choose one, I'd probably go with Tasia, just given his recent ESV results.
Yeah, and talking to Thorzane recently, he always seems so level-headed at these tournaments. Like, I've never seen him be exhausted from flying. I've never seen him be stressed out. And at lunch today, he's just like, everyone's... Because, you know, we talk about StarCraft at every second of every day. And when talking about his group, he's just like, yeah, I practice a lot. It's going to be okay. I don't think he'll be under a lot of pressure, at least mentally.
Yeah, man, super humble and diligent. For my predictions, I'm just going to have to go with the nice duo. I'm going to go with Thorzane and Sheth here.
So I'll be choosing the other two players. My predictions are going to end up being Sase Tasia because I've been watching.
Well, now we have to draw another line here.
Drawing more lines. We're going to have increasing barricades across. Where do you lie, Mr. Wheat?
Well, Thorzane's first name is Marcus.
Up top. We love this guy.
This is the arbitrary prediction table.
I'm a big Thorzane fan. But you know what? I was really sort of stuck between Sase and Tasia because, frankly, I just love to watch Sase play.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That's like one of those things that's just like Sase game, awesome, I'm in. But my original predictions on LO3 was Tasia and Thorzane. So
you don't want to violate that, the sanctity of Live on 3.
You know,
I've completely changed all
This
my
is where I want
predictions
Sase to prove me wrong.
No fluff, man. No fluff.
Yep.
So, of course, I want to step into Group C, which I think is one of the more unusual mixtures. It's Ostoji, Huck, MC, and Bomber. And a lot of these players, I would say, are in a big change state. I mean, Huck used to win most international competitions, performs really well. MC, is he a three-time? No, he's just two-time GSL champion.
Two-time.
Is that right?
Only two, Sean.
Yeah.
Trying to get up to 3.
Oh, he's only won the GSL twice.
Embarrassingly, just 2. That's half as many as MVP. That's awful. Well, MC, obviously very talented, has had a pretty significant tumble and then has just spiked back up recently.
Totally spiked up. Yes, absolutely. A smarter MC, a more meticulous in his execution MC.
Yes.
you know, he really wanted at the previous, at the last competition, the MLG Spring Arena, he really wanted to defeat all of those Zergs. And he even said so in his Twitter. Unfortunately, he didn't make it so, but MC, you could tell he's got so much determination, you know, and being on that upswing, I think it's a great place for MC to be.
Now, what about Bomber, who was heralded as like maybe the best Terran in the world 6 months ago or so? He's won an MLG, performing brilliantly in GSL, only really seemed to be able to lose to players like MVP and Nesty, but has recently just kind of had this catastrophic tumble in his gameplay.
Yeah, I will say Bomber, when he's playing his best, he is terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
And even seeing him in person, you're like, he just beat me on the ladder. He just took my points. Like, he is... He's definitely good, and I think that, you know, if he can focus, he would be one of the favorites, I'd say, in that group if he plays his best. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Home court advantage too. I mean, Bomber's Red Bull sponsored, so this is
his jersey is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, that's one thing that yeah. Stefano, well, players are so subtle. They're like, talk about me and my group and how I'm going to win. And then they just walk back and forth. Hey, Astoji, Mr. Chris.
Chris,
could you just walk across?
What, just...
There you go.
Very subtle.
Now, Astoji's an interesting player in Group C. Astoji, regularly the #1 ranked player on the North American Grandmaster ladder. Now, there's that sort of weird habit people say with, oh, you're #1 Grandmaster in North America? That's like gold in Korea.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean...
Silver.
You can actually... Silver League's like, doesn't even register. It's just like, get out of here. It doesn't let you on the Korean server. But lately, a lot of top Korean players, European players, have been in America so much, playing a lot there on the ladder. You're starting to see the, you know, players like Astoji playing more on Europe, playing on the Korean server, and really has that super flexibility against all the craziness that's thrown at him. But
yeah,
he does have Huck and MC and Bomber.
Right. Yeah, I mean, his group is definitely tough. And also in talking to a lot of the players, a lot of them have been saying that they've been playing on the Korean server a lot more.
Yes.
And it didn't actually used to be that way as much. Like, I mean, people might assume that, but with latency issues and stuff, we didn't see it as much. But now they are starting to practice and play on that a lot. And we're seeing a lot more players actually move to Korea, which we can talk about some of that in the next group too. But they actually are moving there either temporarily or permanently to practice. So... I do want to mention that Huck also, as long as he's not jet lagged, will probably be playing amazingly.
Yeah, I really think that Huck's kind of in an interesting position because, I mean, his play against Terran tends to be fairly unpredictable in the early game, and I've seen that that's what really throws Bomber off a lot. Bomber likes to get 3 bases and then just do the huge, gigantic pushes from those 3 bases, but it's obviously really hard to get them up when you have players like MC and Huck just hurling units. What are your thoughts on the 2 Protosses in the group?
Well... I don't think that either of them are going to make it out, Sean.
Really?
Wow.
Is that to be contrarian?
No. So I actually think that recently we've seen MC grow a lot, right? We're kind of seeing like the rebirth of MC, where rather than just seeing him constantly just stick to 2 base and try to finish games as quick as possible, he's not so afraid of making it in the late game or potentially delaying so that he can really take advantage of his opponent's weaknesses.
Yeah.
Now, on Huck's end, though, Huck is still a player that I've like had a bleeding heart for, like, forever.
Yeah.
And I think that because this could potentially be another one of those events where he could really come out swinging again, and we could see the incredible Huck. So
you're saying both Protosses are going to make it?
No.
Oh.
I think that this could potentially be MC's rebirth, but I don't want to predict him getting out of the group. My prediction is Astoji and Huck.
Astoji and Huck, that's interesting. Wow. Now, what is it about Astoji's play? I know, cast a little bit of him at the North American BattleNet Invitational.
The biggest thing about Astoji is that he's actually always had like relatively solid mechanics. I think that when he came to the North American BattleNet Invitational last year, that it was actually more like stage fright than anything else that prevented him from making it out. But the games that he lost, he was so close to winning anyway.
Yeah.
I know that he's been practicing quite a bit lately, and I just really want to see him like make a name for himself so that instead of people like seeing his name and saying, he shouldn't be there, instead they're like, no. Astoji's sick.
Well, that's actually something interesting to point out. At the North American Invitational, he lost like literally a 1 game against Huck. Just had infinity Broodlords moving across, but Huck, built some stalkers and microed, and just pulled it off, and it was fine. But in that moment, Astoji suffered a really bitter defeat when he was ahead, and literally within 30 seconds was reviewing the game and talking to Huck about it. And that takes an incredible amount of mental fortitude to get knocked down and then go, well, let me review and try to figure out what went wrong. And I mean, if that was what, 7-8 months ago? I mean, that was,
I mean, almost a year now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, it's been a long amount of time. There's been a lot of time for him to like learn and grow from that. I know that university's been kind of like bogging him down just a little bit as far as his practice goes, and he's been working a lot lately.
Oh, that's school.
But man, this could be it. Yeah. Play more StarCraft.
Rob, I got to be completely honest with you, man. I think Astoji is a great player, but earlier tonight he was saying that he's not a fan of the VP. Many Zergs out there will tell you they are not fans of the Versus Protoss. And when you have Huck and MC that you have to contest with, that's the one thing that would keep me from really saying, Astoji, you're going to be able to make it through, man. Like, we'd love to see it, you know, but I think that's two really, really tough Protosses to throw at him. You
look at the amount of, like, experience that's in that group as well, and like live play experience is obviously like Astoji has some catching up.
We're predicting the way that you're going to play based upon a result a year ago, Chris. That's excellent. Well, actually, one thing in my eyes, I think the two players who will likely make it out, I'm going to go. My votes will be Huck and Bomber. I think are going to be the two.
Good choices.
Huck and MC historically have had a lot of rivalries, you know, in MLGs historically, and Huck's just brilliant in PvP tournament play. I mean, recently knocking out Parting, taking out tons of good Protosses and countless MLGs. So I have to favor him against MC. And Bomber, I do think, is the sort of player who trains really, really hard. He's known about this tournament for a long time, and he has just the two Protosses in his group and one Zerg. He gets to really focus in terms of that matchup training. And when he has time to prepare, I've seen him perform just so well. It's that huge variety blast that seems to be giving him trouble.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say if MC brings his Murloc suit, he's going to be first in his group. And then Huck, I'm going to say for second. But I'm also completely biased towards Protoss, so.
It's okay, man.
It's okay. We're still on the same side over here.
Yeah.
Now, I want to move on to Group D, which I would describe as having the most turmoil of any group.
Yes.
Originally, White Raw was in it, dropped, replaced by Puzzle, got to the airport, and his visa got denied. So Red Bull had a 10,000-kilometer-long harpoon and just staked it right through Squirtle, and he's being reeled in right now after his GSL win. He was apparently on vacation after the GSL finals, just went home, and then he just got on a bus to go to the airport right when he got the invite. So.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's
4-hour
awesome.
bus and like 20-hour flight or whatever to get here immediately.
Immediately,
like, as soon as he gets the message. So we'll see. Not too much recovery time for him.
Yeah, in that group is going to be Squirtle, who just blew everyone's mind with the amazing GSL finals. We have Parting, who is heralded as the best mechanics Protoss, really young. We have Rhett, Liquid Rhett, who is, I would say, one of the players who's always capable of taking a win in any tournament, but has had some fumbles when players, you know, have some interesting cheeses. And then the surprise invite Last Shadow, making a big tournament appearance with a super unusual style, really unpredictable, mech heavy. What are your thoughts, Rob?
I've only gotten to watch Last Shadow play pretty much as long as he's been here, but in talking with him, he's already obviously extremely knowledgeable about the game. Now, the player that I really want to talk about is Rhett, because specifically at the last Red Bull LAN in Orlando, we saw how much Rhett really changed over the course of that weekend, right? To learning to use much more like spine crawlers to slow down his play. He learned very quickly to stop building so many units towards that mid game, because as soon as he gets to the late game, his early game macro is just so solid that he always has a lead at some point, and he just needs to like learn how to hold it and finish those games. And when he practices that, he is unstoppable.
Yeah, I mean, that was such an amazing evolution from the start of Red Bull LAN Orlando, which was a training tournament that focused, you know, on specific deficiencies. Rhett was working on that Zerg vs. Protoss and was really fumbly at the start of the weekend, and then the Sunday tournament took out Parting, Sase, the third Protoss. Who was it? Wasn't JYP?
JYP.
I thought Sase took down JYP.
Yeah, actually, Sase did take out JYP.
He took down 3 really good Protosses. One
in
of
a row. He had like the Protoss like death march.
That's right. Naniwa, yeah.
Yes.
Which is a sick set of Protosses to be able to take down, all very different styles. But do you think it's going to be enough to take down Parting and Squirtle?
It could be.
The particular style that Rhett was studying and working towards at the Red Bull land is something that has now been very prevalent in Zerg play for quite a while, right? Almost, what, a month and a half? So I think it's going to take a little bit more than just that to be able to skirt past these guys, for sure. Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, and I mean, definitely Rhett has the style of making a million drones. And I love when he takes expansions that have destructible rocks, and he's just like, no, I'm just going to build a hatchery next to them and just make more drones so it's still fully saturated. But yeah, I mean, Last Shadow, he has a long, long history in StarCraft. He hasn't been at many tournaments, but I'm curious to see exactly how he plays. And also, there was an image on Reddit a while ago of Squirtle's recent runs through all the different tournaments and stuff, where he's basically dropping like no games. And if he can continue doing that, not only is he my favorite starter Pokemon, but he's also really good at StarCraft II. So
it's like only arbitrary predictions. Like Thorzane looks like me.
It's true, man.
I played Squirtle.
I put a lot of in-depth analysis into my predictions here. So.
Well, I mean,
I love you, Husky.
Squirtle really is, I think, the obvious favorite in the group and perhaps for the whole tournament.
Yeah, it kind of rocked the foundation of this tournament. I mean, it wasn't just Group D. It was like Group D was the epicenter, and then the ripples through Group C, B, and A were definitely heard. Violet was talking about it. We heard a couple of the other Terrans talking about it. So, yeah, that's it's like you wake up in the morning, it's like, oh, by the way, now Squirtle's in the competition.
Oh, and the best part was Puzzle was only announced recently this week. You know, White Raw's not coming. It's Puzzle, and it's, and now it's Squirtle. I'm actually really interested in how Last Shadow is going to be playing. I understand that if you watch his stream, he does a lot of mech play, which is obviously very unusual. I mean, especially given the fact that most people are just like, yeah, Marine Marauders are broken anyways, right? Like, let me just build none of them, right?
Well, and also he does, you know, those like 24-hour live streams. I mean, he's definitely practicing a lot.
Player, man.
And, you know, to be honest, there's a lot of players who don't put in that kind of dedication. As long as you're not just miserable those 24 hours and you're actually using it to learn from it, I think he's going to have a big advantage. And, you know, it'll be his chance to prove himself. I'm really excited to see how well he does.
I think the question is, if Last Shadow can take down one of Parting or Squirtle, his Terran vs. Zerg is really strong, uses a lot of Ravens in it. He needs to take down Rhett, one of the two Protosses, and then he'll advance. But I still think that if I was forced to choose two favorites, such as on a panel live, I'd have to choose Parting Squirtle as the two favorites to get out of the group. I mean,
it's hard not to.
It's
really
so
hard not to.
They're both two players that everyone's just like, oh, I want more of them in every match, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
I have to agree.
More.
I mean, especially since Squirtle got announced. I mean, he's just so good.
Robert?
Well, I mean, you know that I'm just going to try to rock the boat as hard as I can.
Rock it.
So at the beginning, I think that Last Shadow doing really well would both be surprising.
Yeah.
And as we talked about a long time ago, he was such a strong Brood War player so early in his life. And now this could be a chance that he's really able to show us that he was able to translate that into some solid StarCraft II skills.
Yeah.
And he's also like a really hard worker. And then on the other side of the coin, one player that you always talk about when you talk about like talent is Rhett.
Yes.
Right, just natural talent. Doesn't actually have to practice that much to stay at the top of his game. So I'm going to go with Rhett and Last Shadow.
And I do want to say Last Shadow has been in Korea.
You crazy son!
Yeah. Yes.
No, you're good. It was worth it.
I mean, I'm just going to draw more wall. I might just have to get up and leave.
He's going to win.
Yeah, Last Shadow has been in Korea for about 9 months, which it definitely helps out. He has had some injuries that he's had to deal with in regards to his hands, which are kind of important for playing StarCraft.
Right.
And
now, we're making predictions. I'm not betting money. I'm making for fun predictions.
For fun? Who are you? This is a StarCraft panel.
You didn't know that for every wrong prediction we get to hit you with the kidneys?
Careful, man. There might be like an 1,100 upvoted thread on Reddit that's like, Robert was wrong. And it's just a lot of karma could come from that one prediction.
That's right. You're whoever makes that post, you're welcome.
You know, I will say that even though I think Squirtle and Parting are the two obvious choices, Rhett and Last Shadow very capable of taking a series off anybody. So I think I think that will be the upset special group, if anything else.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and I mean, anytime someone is able to take a series off of someone, that can throw them off completely. So even if they, aren't able to finish out the entire group, it can completely change the dynamic in a way that you would never predict. And I think you see that a lot in StarCraft II in tournaments with pool play. It's like, oh, these are the obvious 2 choices, but stuff happens. It can go either way. And I'm personally excited to see how Last Shadow plays. He seems really excited to be here. And the last 2 months, he said he's been practicing like bananas. So we'll see.
Oh, like bananas.
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 I wanted to do that so bad.
You
but I
still
thought,
can, Sean.
Oh, bananas. So listen, we've gotten through all our predictions up on the panel, and what we want to do now is bring some of the players of the tournament up here to the front, interrogate them thoroughly, and take some questions from you in the crowd. So I understand that there's a mic floating somewhere. I can't see it because there's a huge set of lights in my face.
Sean,
So,
as the
yeah.
official runner of this panel, I'm wondering if
Yes.
maybe I can step away, use the restroom. But more importantly, I would love it if when I return, there was a huge applause. Just so I could feel like
Can
Marcus,
we do
I
that?